the PATCO trip here. Here is one of PATCO's things here. Upstairs, air conditioning. Engineering cab looks. Engineering is not in here. Woodcrest Station, heading towards Philadelphia.
Right now, 30 miles an hour as we exit the station, and we'll join the main line and accelerate to 65. The next station is Hatfield. We will run express. On your right is the railroad track, which is not electrified. It's the Atlantic City Railroad. The project is owned by New Jersey Transit Corporation, and Amtrak is a tenant or a licensee, a lessee. The property owned by the Port Authority between Lindenwold and
Yeah, now accelerating up to 65 miles an hour.
has a tracking rights agreement to use this track.
We're coming up onto the Benjamin Franklin Bridge right now. Looking at the rear car going up onto the Benjamin Franklin Bridge going to Philadelphia.
On the bridge itself, the roofing rate is 3%. The track speed is 40. That's limited by the designer of the bridges who also the curvature on each end of the bridge. You have to have the 300 control. Track on the bridge was replaced 1984-5. The Haddon voltage joints is now all welded, and there are slip joints at each end of the suspension span and at the foot of the bridge. You're very looking over the expansion joints right there. On your right, it's American Dredging Company. Down the Riverfront Station. Prison, rather. The state prison down there is rather new. Inmates have a view of the river from once you ships go by. Slow down, we're catching our leader. Anyhow, you got a good look at the river. We're 140 feet above the river.
Going over the Delaware River. We're 140 feet above the river.
Downstream from here, and the old piers here that converted to a marina, residences, sightseeing, various recreational uses. We're going over Interstate 95 at the bottom of the bridge here, and in the median of I-95 is the Market Frankfurt subway elevated acceptance. Another expansion joint. Any anchorages are elevators to the surface and to the Frankfurt L. There's meant to be streetcars on the bridge in what is now the curved lane of highway traffic. And the stations had the anchorages had elevators that were taking people to the surface. They were never used. There was never any streetcar tracks on the bridge. The provision was made for it. And at the Franklin Square Station, which we're approaching, the high-speed tracks were fairly far apart, and there's room in between for a 4-track streetcar loop. The original idea was the canvas 5-foot gauge streetcars would have come over to Philadelphia. The bridge was opened on July 4th, 1926, just at the time Public Service Railway was beginning to convert to bus. So that they never did install streetcar tracks on the bridge. On your right is St. George's Methodist Church, the oldest Methodist church in North America.
Now we are going into the tunnel. Into the tunnel.
By the Delaware River Joint Commission in 1936.
Here we are coming back out onto the Benjamin Franklin Bridge on the opposite side, going towards Haddon. We are approaching, coming out of the tunnel. There is a slow order due to people working on the track.
So on the Pearl Creek, they had a real nice one. So I was able to find out who made it. Got their catalog, and we got the same kind of ones for these cars. $24 a piece, and wrapped over 200.
You notice? There are people. A person on the bridge inspecting the track. Over on the right-hand side. Now I'm panning back to give a full view.
This could be the year I expect radios planned in an economically depressed area. Take one more of at least will be like down here. Previous literature said they could consider that, but they only get the votes from that area. They were going to govern people. Yeah, but now they're not even going to have suburbs anymore.
There's two Frankfurt lines. Frankfurt area.
One's on Reading, one is on Frankfurt just refers to that area.
On your right
Subway line disappearing.
is Penn's Landing, a recent development in Philadelphia. Market Frankfurt L Portal down here. But on the waterfront, you'll see a sailing ship, which is the Moshelu. It's an iron sailing ship, one of the last ones that actually was in service. It is now a restaurant and bar. It has a good historical display in the ship. And any of you with marine interests ought to find time to go down there. On Delaware Avenue is the Penn's Landing on weekends. They're being displaced by the developments on the piers where they store their cars. They have really nowhere to go. They're probably going to move out to the suburbs. Further down on Penn's Landing is a warship, which is the USS Olympia, which is an armored cruiser from the Spanish-American War, and that's where the famous saying was, "You may fire when ready, Gridley." It took place at the Battle of Manila Bay, 1898. Next to it is a submarine, also open to the public. Further downstream is the Whitman Bridge. One of four bridges owned by the Port Authority, and further south is the Commodore Barry, and further north is the Betsy Ross. The Port Authority has four bridges, but the Walt Whitman and the Ben Franklin take in most of the money. On your immediate right is Campbell Soup and RCA. Some demolition going on. Campbell Soup World Headquarters will be built on the Kidney waterfront. It's part of a renovation out of the Camden area. State-owned aquarium will be built. Campbell's World Headquarters. This is a 2 or 3 year program. This is the site of the Victor Talking Machine Company right here. This is where our recorded sound began. Right here in Camden.
Now we are approaching the tunnel, end of the bridge at the Benjamin Franklin section.
On your immediate right is Rutgers Camden campus, a branch of the State University. The main campus is at New Brunswick. This is a full-board university with a law school for South Jersey. Rutgers was recently rated 10th out of the 2020s.
How was that portion of
On your immediate right is Conrail's Pemberton subdivision, goes to Millville subdivision, which presently terminates at Millville. It used to go all the way to Cape May. That line was electrified. It was the West Jersey and Seashore Electric. Electrified 1906 and ran till 1949. See a little cubicle there, it's marked Mill for Millville Tower. Long ago that was an actual tower, now it's just a signal on the It's all longest stretch from Philadelphia. I heard somebody saying we're back in New Jersey. Yes, the state line is in the exact center of the Ben Franklin Bridge. There's a gap in the third rail there. We buy power from Philadelphia Electric on the Pennsylvania side through SEPTA. We buy power from Public Service Electric and Gas Company of New Jersey at Westmont. And we buy power from Atlantic Electric at Lindenwold. We have our own 26,400 volt high tension line. We can control our own high voltage. We do our own conversion and maintain our own plant. We buy the power at the high tension side to get the best possible price there. Coming up to the Ferry Avenue project again, look out the left-hand side and you'll see the track work going on. This is an interesting double crossover with the center track for storage. There's a half a dozen, there's 8 turnouts involved altogether. The train will be able to take the whole plant at 30 miles an hour, so we can maintain a good headway even while we're running single track. During the daytime do affect our schedule. We're on a real tight timetable, so this sort of thing is a delay you cannot recover from. So there's a minute or two each one of these. Ferry Avenue parking lot. This is our first suburban station. It's only a couple of miles out of Camden. We have about 2,200 parking places here normally. There's only 2,000 in use now because the contractor doing the track work has preempted some spaces there. You can see the fence. The local Social Security office is in the Ferry Station. It was located there because of the convenient access. Straight line. care of both operating and structure. That's one advantage of being a port authority and not a typical transit, regional transit agency.
Will the Amtrak line be electrically operated?
Amtrak track here, the question was, will it be electric? No. They'll use diesel locomotives, New Jersey Transit will use diesel locomotives, and it will be a conventional railroad. The track speed will be 79. They tried to keep the construction cost minimized. It's $105 million for the project. The market is uncertain. There's a lot of enthusiasm on the part of Amtrak about the potential of the market, but it's a very different kind of a situation.
I want to save some for the other train.
They haven't been there yet, so there's no real base to plot statistics from. It's a potential, and a labor market is very attractive, but until the people get on the train and start paying fares, nobody really knows. Amtrak is looking for 2.5 to 4% of this market. So their target is modest, and it's possible that they will achieve it. They also are targeting that they will achieve their direct operating expenses on the line. As for Amtrak, the line will have a two-way load. NJT will be running a commuter-type service, largely oriented to the Atlantic City commuter market, not Philadelphia. And each of the carriers is looking to haul about 2,000 rides a day, close to 4,000 for a 67-mile railroad, which by transit standards is rather unheard of. We're approaching Woodcrest Station again. The first road we're going under is the Jersey Turnpike, is the I-295, and there's a direct ramp off I-295 into the station, which you folks use. And the second road is the New Jersey Turnpike, so the ramp had a tunnel under the New Jersey Turnpike, which had over the Cooper River, so the ramp was quite expensive. It's used, though, by a lot of traffic besides that going to Woodcrest Station. United Parcel has a terminal just a half mile from here, and there's a lot of truck traffic which stays off the local roads because of it. Here's the Woodcrest Station. The station itself here is owned by the Port Authority, but the parking lot was built by New Jersey Department of Transportation.
Downtown and up the University Savannah place.
Alright, can I get up here? I want to...
PATCO's facilities here, carpet facilities. Moving in. Did you notice on this car here, there's a round nose. Get in, get your foot in here. Don't worry.